Hello guys, welcome again to ghprepscholar. For today, I know it's been a while, but I know the application process is pretty much over for most of you guys, and I think this is the waiting stage. But I wanted to make a quick video because a lot of you requested as one of the videos you guys wanted me to make what happens after I submitted my application, given that you've received an offer letter. I think some of the early decision letters are rolling in and other letters might be rolling in, but what happens generally if you're a Ghanaian student normally or an international student and you've received an offer letter from a university of your choice. So what happens next? What do you do next? What is the stages from that till you land in the school for orientation day or arrival day? So that's what we're gonna go through. The first step is to review your financial aid package. Most of the time your financial aid package is gonna come alongside your offer letter, or it's gonna come a couple of days after your offer letter from the school. So you have to be on the lookout for that. So after you receive the financial aid offer letter or a package, review it and make sure that it is an amount that you're definitely okay with. Now, sometimes there is the situation where the aid they offer you is something that you're appreciative of, but you know that you need more to attend. If that's the case, that's not the end. It doesn't mean it's a rejection. You can always appeal to the school for other options to ask them. Sometimes they might still ask for more documents, or sometimes they might be able to give you more aid. So, but it doesn't mean if they didn't give you the aid that you wanted, that's it. Just write an email to the school asking for an upward review of your financial aid. So if you want a template of that, I could send that as well, or I could just email me at ghprepscholar@gmail.com. But really, you're just initially thanking the school for the offer and for the package, and then telling them that, but whatever is still left is still going to present a very huge burden for your family, you and your family, and or your family. So an upward review, and actually state the amount that you would actually be content with, and sometimes it would work out. It has happened a couple of times. A lot of students have had that reviewed. Me personally, it worked for me as well. The next step is to pay the enrollment deposit fee, which is basically an amount that is part of the total cost you have to pay. So sometimes if you get a full full scholarship or full ride, sometimes you don't need to pay that. But let's say if you're left with something little to pay, what the enrollment deposit fee means is basically normally it's a small fee that you pay to sort of like a promise to the school that, hey, you're gonna enroll. It's basically to secure your spot in the upcoming class. So basically, once you receive your offer letter, you have to a certain timeline to accept your offer letter. But even within that period, you have to a certain amount of time to pay that fee to indicate to the school that you are actually interested. So you might actually receive offer letters from multiple schools, but you normally pay the enrollment deposit to one school to tell that school that, you know what, I'm paying part of my fees, and that enrollment deposit fee would basically count towards the amount of money. Let's say the total cost of attendance to get to that school is $70,000, and you got a financial aid package of, let's say, $65,000. So it's left with $5,000 for you to pay, and you think you can pay. Sometimes the school will send you this enrollment deposit fee, which is just $500. So basically, they're telling you pay $500 by this date to indicate to us that you're interested. Now, what will happen is that $500 will be actually credited to your student account. So basically, it will be deducted from the amount you're left to pay, which is the $5,000. So you just be left with $4,500 to pay. You get it? So that's the next thing you do. What happens is now after you pay the enrollment deposit fee, or you've accepted that one university you want to go to of all the options, what you have to do is that in some cases you might have to submit some other documents. So let's say you were still not done with high school, you're now done, or you were waiting for your original WASI certificate, or you submitted unofficial SAT test scores, you self-reported your scores, or you submitted unofficial documents. Like that's SAT test scores, maybe your WASI results were not in yet, like the original certificate was not in yet, all other stuff. Now, this is the time where the school will ask you that, okay, we accepted you based on the documents you gave to us, some of which were unofficial, but we trusted you. But now we've accepted you, we need you to submit the official ones to verify that those are actually true. But most of the time, some of you already have submitted the official ones, so you don't need to go through this process to just verify everything. And sometimes they say you did not finish school yet and they accepted you, but they want to still make sure that in your final year you still performed well, you didn't slack off. So you might still be asked to submit some of these documents. So that's one thing that would happen. Normally, that's the biggest one. Normally, to issue your I-20 to you, you would have to submit more information about yourself, personal information and other details, and sometimes bank information or bank statements and other things, because one important aspect of your I-20 is basically showing that you have enough funds to cover your tuition, so that document can be issued to you by the school, and then you can go to your US embassy to apply for a visa during your visa interview. So some schools, if you didn't get full financial aid, they might ask for bank statements to indicate that, okay, you know what, for instance, you're left with $5,000 to pay. Can you give us a bank statement or like your parents' income or something that can prove to us again that you can pay the remaining $5,000, so that we can issue you your I-20 and then you can go to your embassy to apply for it. The reason why they do that is if they issue you the I-20 and you go to the embassy themselves might ask for that bank statement or ask for proof of like that you can pay the funds. So it's just to save time. I know a lot of people would sometimes claim they have the money just to get the I-20, thinking that once they get the I-20, they can get the US visa. That's not guaranteed. Getting your I-20 doesn't mean you're gonna get your visa. Very crucial to get an I-20 if you need an F1 visa for sure. But getting an I-20 doesn't necessarily guarantee you a US visa. It's a necessary condition but not sufficient. Your school in the US will ask you for some other information like health information wise, your immunization records, vaccination records, just to make sure that you're healthy, you're good, because you're going to be interacting with other people on campus. So like this is where you go back to your parents or wherever they have the cards like the yellow card, all those other immunization records when you were a kid against the childhood killer diseases, all of them, just to make sure that you have all your vaccinations and all your like boosters. And so some of these you might have to even actually start getting them, but some of them you might not be able to get all of them in time, so you might have to get the rest when you're in the US. But it's just better if you get all of them in Ghana before you go, because when you come to the US, relatively, to get some of these shots are very expensive. So it's better to get them in Ghana if you can. So yeah, you do all of that as well. Next thing is, because you're coming in as an international student, it needs to be recorded to the US government that way, or the US government needs to identify you as such. So there is something called the Sevis, that's Students and Exchange Visitor Information System, where your information is entered into that record system to indicate you're a student, or like your F1 status is recorded into that system. But to do that, you pay a fee for that, and then to be recorded into that and registered for that. And to pay that fee, normally you do it through Western Union. Now with the Western Union, other countries can do it by paying with debit card or credit card, but with Ghana, for so far, you pay through Western Union. So what most of us and most of my friends did is, you get someone who's already in the US, someone you already know in the US, to pay it for you, because it's easier for someone in the US to pay it for you through Western Union or whatever. And then when you come to the US, or somehow you pay the person when you are coming to the US, so that it's easier that way. And that way it's also easier, so you don't have to deal with the Western Union, international fees, transaction rates fees and all that. So that's the easier way. But if not, you can still go to your local Western Union in Ghana, or most of these banks say you want to pay. Basically, the school will give you information on how to pay the service fee. Basically, you'll be given a code, a number, and then the amount to pay. And then you basically go, you share this information with the Western Union agent, and basically they will know how to go with the process. But sometimes it can get confusing. So normally the recipient of the Western Union you'll be paying to is US Bank DHS, which is Department of Homeland Security. And so you'll be given an account number, and then you'll be given the fee to pay for, and then you just provide that account number, which the recipient, which is the US Bank DHS, would notice that it is you are the one paying it. Do you get it? And also you provide your service ID, which is your service number. You'll be given an ID so that they can know that, okay, you're the one paying it, so that they match it against your account. That's a very crucial step. So after you're done with those, it starts with the application for a US visa. It can be a very overwhelming with a lot of information, but you just enter all of them as accurately as possible, and then you just fill up and apply for the US visa. And then you have to pay for the visa appointment fee, which I think in Ghana you can only do through GT Bank. So you go to GT Bank, your local GT Bank branch, and then give them the DS 2016, which is the visa application form. That DS 2016 confirmation number, you give them some of the information, and then you pay the fee, and then they will basically give you your receipts, which you can enter back in the system to like schedule your interview. Get to their visa interview process, which is to schedule for your dates. Right now, there's huge backlog times, but one crucial thing about applying for an F1 visa is that it's a very important visa. So if you feel like you're not getting the dates you want, that's basically if all the dates for interviews you see are way beyond the time you're supposed to go to school. Let's say the earliest date you have to do your interview, like the earliest date you go for the interview is, let's say, 2nd September. But you know your school is telling you that school starts, let's say, 30th August. You can basically apply for an expedited. And in your expedited, reason for expedited appointment, you indicate that basically if your school start date is within 60 days of the earliest appointment date, you can apply for an expedited one. And then once you're approved, you'll be given new times to choose from. And then you can select one. And then you go for the interview. Honestly, the US visa interview, for me was very smooth. It's the whole process of waiting in line and everything can be overwhelming, but when you're actually standing right under your window and you're actually talking to the consular or the visa interview officer, it takes less than honestly, it takes less than a minute to like get approved or rejected. And honestly, it's simple questions, simple answers. Don't drag it. You just need to show that you're just going, in the eyes of the US government and in the eyes of the officer, you are just going to study 4 years, gain world-class education, and come back home to use that education you have gained and knowledge to help your country. So keep it that way, keep it simple, have all the information you need. If you have everything you need, you have the right scholarship or right money, everything, nothing looks fishy, you will always get the visa. So yeah, and that's the truth. Just keep it simple. Keep everything to 1 or 2 sentences max, 3 max, and you get your visa in under 1 minute. And then that's the one thing. If you guys want me to do an extra video actually showing you the process, how mine went, how people that I know's interview went, how the sample questions they were asked, all those kind of things, I can do that as well. But a lot of people get scared of the process. I've gone to do the US visa interview like at least 3 times, and all of them I have never gotten rejected. I've always gotten accepted. I've done it 3 times, guys, and I've gotten accepted in all of them. So you can do it. Trust me, it's really not that hard. It sounds hard, but it's not that hard. If you have good intent, you're sure you're a good candidate, because obviously if a school gave you an offer and even a scholarship, they know that you're a good student then. So you just have to show it. Majors, like for instance, for some schools, if you're going to study, for instance, I can speak on the behalf of CS. If you're going to learn, let's say, computer science, one good thing that you can help, like, before going to the school is start learning stuff that will be useful for you as a CS major. If you've never learned a programming language before, start learning the programming language. You know, some of these schools actually would give you some summer preparatory materials to learn before you get there. Let's say they want you to learn this, they want you to do this. Like, you know, start picking up already, start learning so that when you go, your first year might be a bit easier. Like, if you know you're going to do CS or engineering something, like probably start, if you've never learned calculus, start refreshing on your calculus, pick up on it. If it's CS, start learning some programming languages, you know, like Python or the new ones like Python, Java, depends on your school. And every school really has the programming language they start with. I know at Stanford, they normally start with C++. Most other universities start with Python, some start with Java. Like, you do the research, you know about it, and just start so that when you go your freshman year, it's not overwhelming. At least you can have a good of a head start. It's good that way. Some schools will actually just, like, you know, force it on you by giving you some summer preparatory materials and summer assessments to help you with that, but some will not, and you just need to know. And it depends on your major. I don't know if you're going to learn biology or something, depends on you. Like, just, you know, just so you get a good head start, it's a good thing. It will help you. Saying it depends on you, the kind of person you are. Some people don't want to tell their friends and everything before they get there. Some people want to say bye-bye, everything, questions, any problems, all of that. Once again, ghprepscholar, we're here to go walk through our problems. If you need more help with anything, let me know, and I am always ready to help, guys.